Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using PhotoPlay's Silent Night, A Child is Born collection. I purchased 2 of the collection kits. It includes the 12x12 pattern paper plus a sticker sheet. And I also bought several of the individual pattern paper sheets. Sometimes it's hard to find good Christian Christmas collections, so when I come across one I like, I buy a bunch. I also have the coordinating cardstock ephemera, and I did purchase 2 packs. One of the 12x12 papers includes a bunch of 3x4 size cut-aparts. I've already cut out several sheets. Some are just images, others have images plus sentiments. If you are interested in this collection, I will have links in the description box below. I'll be making 6 different card designs and multiples of each card design, and overall the cards are fairly simple since these will be personal cards that I mail out. For card design number 1, I selected the golden yellow star pattern paper for the background. This piece is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. Across the card I added this light tan speckled pattern paper. This piece is 4 inches by 1 3/4 inch. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge of this light tan speckled pattern paper strip. I'm using the gold pinstripe peel offs and the narrowest width. I am leaving a little gap area without peel offs since I'll be covering up that space with one of the image cut aparts. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on black cardstock, and the cardstock piece is 4 1/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5½ inches. The cut-apart image I'm using for this card has baby Jesus in the manger, and he's in one of the stables. There's a sleeping lamb, a goose, and a sweet little mouse on the roof of the stable. To give the cut-apart even more contrast, I'll layer it on black cardstock, and that layer is an additional 1/8 inch, so 3 1/8 inch by 4 1/8 inch. For a sentiment, I'm using one of the ephemera pieces. Jesus is the reason for the season. Next to the goose, there's a little green plant, and I think that ephemera piece ties in well with that tiny bit of green on the cut apart. I'll add the sentiment in the upper left-hand corner. Half of it will go off of the cut apart, and I don't want that side dipping down. So first I'll add a scrap piece of cardstock just on the left area. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere this sentiment in place. I grabbed some thicker white cardstock from my stash, but you could also use the same 2 pieces, the black cardstock and a scrap of the pattern paper. You just want to get it at the same level. Before the glue dries completely, I'll make sure the sentiment's on nice and straight. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs, this time the mini twinkle style in gold. I'll put 3 underneath the sentiment on the left side and 2 in the upper right-hand corner. Love from Lizi's mini shape peel-offs are perfect to use for embellishments, especially if you want to keep your card nice and flat. So there is my finished card, and I did end up making 4 using this design. I only purchased 2 of the ephemera packs, so the first 2 have the same image and sentiment, and the other 2 I used the 3 wise men with baby Jesus and the sentiment Silent Night. I also added some mini gold circle peel-offs in the lower left-hand corner. Now moving on to card design number 2. For the background of my card, I'm using this gray tone-on-tone wood grain design. This piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. On the left side of the card, I'm adding the green tone-on-tone, almost looks like a weave design. This piece is 1½ inches by 5 1/4 inch. For that separation and shine, I'll use more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This time the white with gold overlay in the pinstripe style, and I'm using the medium width. I'll add a strip on the left side, but on the right side I just need some small scraps since I'll be covering up that center area with the image and sentiment. I'll wrap the ends of the peel-offs around the back, put adhesive on the back of this piece and layer it on some black cardstock. And that cardstock piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. After adhering that piece down, I noticed there was a little more black on one side, so I did go and trim that down. Now I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. If you don't like the look of the white card base showing, you could always cut that black background piece to A2 size. The cut apart I selected for this card has the sentiment, "For unto us a child is born," and it's inside this lovely foliage wreath. I'll layer it on black cardstock, adding an additional 1/8 of an inch again, so 3 1/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. Put adhesive on the back and adhere it more on the right side of the card and closer to the top. The bottom of the cut apart is about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the pattern paper. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs, this time the mini circle style in white. I'll add 2 in the upper left-hand corner, the large and medium size, and then 3 of the smallest circles in the lower right-hand corner underneath the cut apart. So there is my finished card. Super simple, nice and flat card, so I won't have to pay any additional postage when I mail them. I ended up making 4 of the same card since I used a cut apart instead of the ephemera. And since I purchased 2 of the collection kits along with some individual 12 by 12 sheets, I have plenty of cut aparts to use. For card design number 3, the sketch is from Cards TV. This is number 74. I thought this looked like a fun sketch. You could use 4 different pattern papers for the background. I'm using 2. I'm using the angel and baby Jesus design for the larger rectangles, and then the light tan speckled pattern paper for the 2 squares. I'm adding all 4 pieces on some dark blue cardstock, and I did cut this piece a little bit smaller than what's indicated on the card sketch. For the card sketch, it has that background layer a full A2 size. Mine is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. That way I can have the white cardstock border showing. When adding the 4 pattern paper pieces on the blue cardstock piece, my main focus is to get a nice even blue cardstock border. So sometimes I'll need to overlap a tiny bit of the pattern paper. To add that little bit of separation and shine, I'm using Love from Lizi peel-offs. And besides looking beautiful, these are also great for hiding some of your mistakes. So if you do have a little gap between the pattern paper, or if one's cut a little bit crooked, you can hide that by adding a Love from Lizi peel-off right on top. The card sketch has a circle element for the image. I'll be switching that up and adding one of the 3x4 cut aparts. So I only need a tiny peel off on those 4 sides. I'll start by adding them on the outside edge and then just cut about 1 inch, maybe a little bit longer of each of the peel offs. Try to make sure to get those on nice and straight. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Right now the background looks very busy since the 2 angel pattern paper pieces are right next to each other, but that will be covered up with the image. The image cut apart I'm using for this card has baby Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. There's no sentiment. I'll layer it on the same dark blue cardstock, and that piece is 3 1/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. I'll add the cut apart image on the center of the card, and now that background doesn't look so busy. There's separation from the 2 different pattern paper designs. For a sentiment, I'm adding "Oh Come Let Us Adore Him." And this is another cut apart. It was just the top area of one of the 3x4 pieces. I'm just using the sentiment portion. I'll first layer it on the same dark blue cardstock, and I'm adding the sentiment at the bottom of the cut apart with about 1/8 of an inch of it going off the edge. Might be a little bit more, but less than 1/4 of an inch. I don't want that area to dip down, so first I'll put a scrap piece of cardstock just on that lower portion. Then I'll adhere it in the center at the bottom of the cut apart. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in gold, and it's making me a little sad that this sheet is almost empty. I think I have at least another 1 or 2 of this color in my stash though. So there is my finished card, and I was able to make 4 using this design. I absolutely love the cut aparts that are part of this collection. If you need to put together some quick Christmas cards that are still beautiful, I would recommend getting this collection. And with so many cut aparts included on the one sheet, I'm trying to show several different ways to use those 3x4 sizes. For card design number 4, for the background I selected this maroon paper with berries and foliage. That piece is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. In the center of the card, I'll be adding a long banner, and I use the golden yellow star pattern paper. I cut a fishtail on the bottom. Before adhering it down, I'll first add more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the white color with gold overlay in pinstripe style. I'm using the widest and the medium width. I'm adding them a little bit lower than the center of the card. The medium size peel-off is about 2 inches up from the bottom edge of the pattern paper. Since I'm covering up the center, I did use some scrap pieces. I'll wrap the ends around the back, then I'll add my banner in the center. And I'm using the grid lines on my craft mat to get that banner centered on the background. I'll put adhesive on the back, layer this piece on some green cardstock. And that cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Of course, I ran out of ATG tape, so I did need to pause the video and refill it. The pink ATG is no longer available, but you can still find a red version, and I get my refills from Tape Jungle. If you are purchasing them, you can use my discount code PINK to save 10%, and I do have that linked in the description box below. The cut apart I'm using for this card has baby Jesus in the manger, and the sentiment Silent Night, Holy Night. I'm layering it on another cut apart, just the back side, so it's that green tone-on-tone pattern. That other cut apart has the sentiment Joy and some lines for journaling, and I knew I wouldn't be using it, so instead I'll use the design on the back side. I did trim down the baby Jesus cut apart, so it's a little bit smaller than that background green tone-on-tone layer. So the cut apart is 2 5/8 of an inch by 3 5/8 of an inch. That way I could have that nice wide border of the green pattern paper around it. For embellishments, I'm adding the mini twinkle peel-offs in gold. I'll put 2 on the right side of baby Jesus and 1 on the left side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. For card design number 5, I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 65. I'm using the light tan speckled pattern paper for the background. That piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. In the very center, I'm adding the pattern paper with baby Jesus, angels, and lots of stars. And I did cut that piece just a tiny bit longer than the background. So I'll flip over this panel, use my scissors, and trim off the overhang. For some separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel-off along the edge of the angel pattern paper. using the pinstripe style in white with gold overlay, and I have the widest width. Since I'll be adding the sentiment going across the card and then the large oval, I'll leave a little gap area. That way I don't need to use up another peel-off strip. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some dark blue cardstock, and this time that cardstock piece is A2 size, so 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. If I'm using a lighter color for the background, I won't always have that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. So for this card, I have the wider dark blue cardstock border. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. And if you're new to my channel, I always adhere my card front onto the card base upside down, since I like to start with the folded edge. And I do it upside down to get that folded edge closest to me. Next, I'll add 2 of the ephemera pieces. Instead of the oval, I have this fun label shape with 2 angels, the sentiment, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy." And then I'm also adding the sentiment, "Merry Christmas." It's another ephemera piece. It worked perfectly for the design of this sketch. For this card, I did put foam dimension on the back. It's a very thin foam dimension, only 1 millimeter thick. I'll remove the release paper, add the larger label ephemera piece down first, and then the Merry Christmas sentiment toward the bottom. For embellishments, using more of the Love from Lizi peel-offs, my sheet that's almost gone. These are the mini circles in gold. I'll put 3 of the medium-sized circles in the upper right-hand corner. And since I'm out of the medium size now, I'll use 2 smaller circles in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card. I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards, I used the same ephemera pieces. The second set of cards, I used different pattern paper, added the stitched oval die cut, and the Bethlehem image is one of the stickers. The sentiment, "All is calm, all is bright," is another ephemera piece. For card design number 6, this is my final card design. The card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 69. And I just realized all 3 of the sketches I use in this video are from Cards TV. And if you're interested in the sketches, they already include measurements. I share all that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For the background of my card, I'm using the maroon pattern paper with the berries and foliage. For the small square, I selected the green tone-on-tone pattern paper, and for the small rectangle, I used the light tan speckled pattern paper. Layered both of those on some green cardstock. Before adding those smaller pieces, I'll first put some Love from Lizi peel-offs across the bottom area of the card. This is the pinstripe style in white with gold overlay, using the widest and the medium width. And the medium peel-off is about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom edge of the maroon pattern paper. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer my pattern paper piece on dark green cardstock, and that green cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. And I'll try to get that on nice and straight. It didn't at first, but I was able to pull it up before it adhered down. Next, I'll add the light tan speckled rectangle in the upper right-hand corner. But before adding the green square, the upper right-hand corner of that square will be sitting on the rectangle piece, and I want to keep it at the same level. So first, I'll add some scrap cardstock pieces behind it. I'm putting a very large piece under most of it, and then just a small strip on the left side. I just need to leave that upper right-hand corner without those cardstock pieces. Then I'll put adhesive on the back and adhere this square down. And I'm trying to make sure to get that square on nice and straight. I'm using the pattern paper edges as a guide. For a sentiment, I'm using one of the ephemera pieces. It has the Christmas star, the sentiment, joy to the world. I'll put adhesive on the back and add the ephemera piece on the light tan speckled rectangle. And on the green tone-on-tone square, I'm adding this lovely star sticker with a flower and some foliage. You could leave off the sticker and just have that green tone-on-tone square. I think it would still look very pretty. For embellishments, I'll put 3 of the large mini circle peel-offs in gold, and I'll add them on the left side of the light tan speckled rectangle piece. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 cards I used the same sticker and ephemera, and the other 2 cards I use different ephemera sentiments and a sticker image. I think this is another really fun card sketch to use, perfect for featuring several different pattern papers on one card. Now here's another look at the 24 Christmas cards I made using PhotoPlay's Silent Night collection. This is a gorgeous collection, and I'll admit I bought quite a bit of it. I think there is still some available, so if you are interested, I do have links in the description box below. It's not always easy to find lovely Christian Christmas collections, so if you find them, you can't wait, you need to buy them. Now, I am still hoping there'll be some new Christian Christmas collections released next year. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.